Finally, you're back home after your closing shift, so exhausted, no energy to function. You take a heavy seat on the living room couch, letting out a sigh of relief. Such a long day, about time you head to bed. After your moment of ease, you switch off the light and head towards the stairs. What was that? Is that the TV? You turn back and the TV is on. Weird. Whatever. You shut it off and head back up. What? There's a face on the TV. Okay, someone is clearly just pranking around. You grab the remote to click the power. But, the remote doesn't respond. A cryptic message appears below. What the fuck? Annoyed and fatigued, you march towards the TV to unplug it from the back. But that might not have been such a good idea.
Analog audio, VHS distortion, glitches, low graphics, and found footage films. These are all put under a recently popular video art genre called analog horror. This genre has been floating around the 20th century, but is now only getting more attention during the late 2010s. Starting off with the web series called Local 58 in 2015, Chris Staub, the creator, popularized analog horror with online broadcasts that continuously becomes hijacked by cryptic messages, audio degradation, and unsettling VHS found footage. Audiences saw Chris's work and loved the pure fear instilled by the ominous film techniques used in this piece. This grew the analog horror community, getting them talking and making their own creations on the internet. The web series that caught almost everyone's eye within the last year is called Mandela Catalogue. Raising in popularity, Alex Krister posted his first video, and over the year gained views on his channel, along with fans creating multiple Mandela Catalogue-based games and interactive art pieces. Fans latched on to Alex's unique approaches to the genre, such as Uncanny Valley, government official statements, audio recordings of events or commentary, animated demonstrations, disturbing creatures, evidence reels, and realistic-looking footage. All of these were used to make the audience feel a false sense of safety until the video takes a creepy turn, especially later in the series where Alex experiments with other techniques of video art to keep it fresh, with data mosh 3D models, scaled acting, lifeless IA-generated voices and props, physical sets, etc. Fans describe it as the epitome of analog horror, which is why we will be looking into the Mandela Catalogue as being an important and vital part of new video art history. To start off with some context, there are three major conflicts within the story: alternates, the Mandela County government, and the Bythorn Paranormal Society. Alternates symbolize the evil in this series as they are shape-shifting entities that kill human victims by enforcing a metaphysical awareness disorder, learning information that is undesirable to know, causing them to go insane. The Mandela County government is made up of the Mandela County Police, the law enforcement trying to maintain justice, and the United States of Temporal Phenomena, a law division trying to maintain the order. At times, they make irrational decisions to maintain the overall safety of the masses. Lastly, the Bythorn Paranormal Society. They actively investigate paranormal activities, putting themselves in danger with the alternates. They push to advocate the evil being spread in the Mandela County and are considered fugitives by the county police. Mandela Catalogue follows these conflicts with the stories of numerous individuals who represent both good and bad. Mark Heathcliff, a religious young man who encounters alternates multiple times throughout his life, alongside his best friend, another victim, Cesar Torres, at one point being replaced by an alternate. Adam Murray and Jonah Marshall, founding members of the Bythorn Paranormal Society. Adam and Jonah put their lives in danger while on eerie missions, stumbling into alternates. The last story is about Thatcher Davis, a lieutenant for the Mandela County Police Department. He works with Ruth Weaver, a sergeant with the police department, investigating alternates altogether. You might have many questions about these alternates. So far, there are 5 different types. Type 1 alternates are doppelgangers, shapeshifters to look and speak identical to another human being and are the most common kind. Type 3 alternates are called flawed impersonators. They are known for shapeshifting incompletely to their human disguise, making them look quite terrifying. Type 4 alternates are those that appear in children's shows to enter the minds of young viewers. The intruder is another important antagonist in the series. It doesn't really fit into any other categories due to it not being an alternate, but more of an ally to alternates, aiding in their killing. Lastly, Type 2 alternates are known as detectable or unspeakable. The Archangel Gabriel fits into this category. Gabriel is symbolic of all evil and is the one who initiated the birth of all alternates. The history of analog materials to create new art goes back for centuries. When looking at the potential commentaries behind TV Cello by Nyam Jung Pak, it's interesting to see how the world and our future with technology could have been perceived or postulated upon. Through Nyam's artful use of stacked televisions to emulate the structural design of a cello, one can see an early prediction of how analog technology can fit into music, or perhaps a predicted model of Nyam's version of an electric cello. When brought to life by Charlotte Moorman, the performance was displayed on the televisions of the cello and created a haunting sound, as both the cello and the sound produced from the televisions mirroring one another created something far dissonant in sound to music. This could possibly represent how distorted art may become due to the rise in technology replacing that of traditional art mediums, like live concerts and theater productions. Through the manipulation of sound through the televisions and the actual playing of Mormon, the atmosphere created is dystopian in nature. This is exceedingly significant when looking at audiovisual effects in video art, as sound is one of the most fundamental parts of video consumption. Without the haunting sound effects of a horror film, the feelings evoked in the audience can be lost. The impact of sound in film not only builds atmosphere, but it brings a story to life. According to a study titled "The Impact of Music on Subjective and Physiological Indices of Emotion While Viewing Films," the researchers postulated a binding relationship between music and film. A quote states, "An ideal binding situation would exist when an acoustic stimulus, whether musical or otherwise, could logically be incorporated into visual diegesis, that is, the visual world of a film. For example, viewing a bird and hearing chirping noises. If we were to see a bird and hear bird-like noises, we could logically conclude that the source of those sounds is the bird. Music, however, is harder to incorporate into the visual diegesis of a film. In most feature films, however, music is non-diegetic, existing without any obvious source. Through these artists' understanding of how to manipulate analog materials to redefine media art, we can see the gradual evolution of the art form into what it is today. As mediums like cassette tapes, VHS, and laser discs become outdated, the novelty surrounding their use slowly returns. From older people resonating with the nostalgia of media they're familiar with, to youths creating urban legends around the stories once recorded using those mediums, analog audiovisual media encourages cross-generational creativity in the exploration of their technology. To build context on the general hype on recent analog media, we should look at the culture surrounding it on the internet. In 2009, the website Something Awful started a horror competition to see which one of their members could create the best horror photography post. There was an entry which featured a tall, slender figure with white skin and no face, which was colloquially dubbed Slender Man. He became an internet urban legend, and a month after the initial post, he was adapted into an analog horror series by a group of college students under the alias Marble Hornets. They used a handheld camera, props, and transition manipulation to create an eerie series that resembled the atmosphere of the Blair Witch Project. The popularity of this series and the story behind Slenderman went viral, with millions of fan art/games, thousands of fanfictions, and interpretations of the story making analog horror popularized. More internet urban legends, labeled creepypastas, then started to replicate the forms of analog media through digital means. With these pop cultural events happening, shows and celebrities began to adopt the influence of analog-esque styles of creating art. From the use of cassette tapes in the hit TV series 13 Reasons Why, to the reopening of Kodak's discontinued 35mm Ektachrome film production, to film Season 2 of HBO's Euphoria, to the handheld camera aesthetic applied to Joji's Gimme Love music video. It is clear that analog horror has not only impacted the way we consume art, but regarded mainstream media as a whole.